Do it live.
Welcome to my show, where I can just say whatever I want because it's my show. This is episode 7, probably, of Rogue Trader: The Last Scion, which is not the Lost Scion. This episode's title is called Umbra, but not Pen Umbra. I'll do my intro real quick. So, this morning, I woke up and I was like, it's afternoon, I should probably do something, but I didn't really want to. So I just kind of rolled around for a while, and then I invested the enormous emotional energy to pull myself into my car to take a 30-minute car ride because I want to get used to driving my car. And you know what? Somewhere around 5 o'clock in the afternoon in my car, I was like, fresh air, some sunlight. I feel the vitamin D getting in me. Gonna get the D here real quick. Smooth ride, good music, good speaker system, everything is okay in the world. And then I made the mistake of making a right-hand turn. And while I was locked into making that right-hand turn, a dozen birds shit all over my car. I'm not talking like one. I'm talking my entire car is covered. Front windshield, front of the car, side windows, side mirrors, top of the car, and moonroof completely covered in bird shit.
So you just completely got carpet bombed?
That's when I knew I was just going to drag myself back down to my studio and just play a phone game for like an hour until the show started. And that's what I did. I'm done for today. I'm completely fucking checked out of life. I put in the minimal amount of effort, reality, and you still fucked me. You still fucked me. So tomorrow I gotta go get a brand new car. I haven't even had it for a week. Completely washed.
So can I ask you, AP, like, are you still car proud? You got a new car? Are you car
listen, my old car lasted me for 13 years. I didn't want to give it up. But my mechanic specifically told me, like, it's time. I know you love this car, but you have to give it up because the amount it will take to repair the exhaust system is more than the price of the car. And I was like, that's okay. And then she said the amount it would take to repair this car is more than 3 years of maintenance costs. And I was like, ew, okay, maybe it's time. No, but I don't want to do it. But I did it. I'm never going to let go of this car now. Like, it's part of me.
So
if anyone interested, I will destroy them.
with every car I buy, I always put a nano sealant on the car. Like I use like Wolf's Chemicals hard body or something like that, or some other ceramic sealant.
Was that for like the outside of the car?
Yeah, for the so it's a paint sealant basically. It's a ceramic paint sealant, and so water beads off. But things like bird crap, for example, you can just hose it off because it won't adhere to the surface. I don't know if you get bats. Do you get bats in your area at all as well?
No.
Okay, because back guano really damages. Yeah, but back guano really damages car paint as well. But yeah, I find those nano sealants there. If you get someone to do it, it can cost you probably US $600 to do the whole car, but you can do it yourself as well. I really recommend it. But you got to have the right condition to do it. You got to be able to do it somewhere where you can keep it for at least overnight out of the weather for it to properly seal.
I don't know how to tell you
could
this,
probably
James.
take it to a body shop and they could do it in a paint booth and leave it there.
I don't know if you've noticed this about me, but I am not competent.
Even if you are, just get someone professional to do it.
I'm
anyway.
gonna get some. But that's always been my stance: is that if something is worth doing, and I, as an engineer, do not know how to do it, I'm not going to take the time to figure it out because I will fuck things up along the way. I've lived my entire life with me. I will pay a professional, and in the end, it will definitely cost less.
It's probably
Okay,
body
new
shops
Patreon
would probably
tier?
do that sort of thing.
New Patreon to help Arthur fix his car.
Car's fine. It just needs a wash.
As I get older, I used to be like, yeah, I'll just rebuild my engine or my transmission. No problem. I'll knock it out in the weekend and I'll be okay. Now
These are the words of a man who has never had to rebuild an engine.
I am an adult. I'm like, how much would it cost to just pay someone to do this?
That's how I feel about building computers. I was like, I'm going to go to school to learn how to build computers from the smallest nanoparticle on up. Electrical engineer. And throughout college, I did. And then after I graduated, I was like, fuck that shit. A pre-built computer is good enough for me. I'll just swap parts in when it's needed. I never want to put thermal paste on again.
See, Atomic, until you mentioned it, I didn't know that there was a V8 engine swap for an RX-8.
You can actually get thermal pads that you won't ever have to replace.
Never
Or
heard
you
of
get
this.
I use liquid metal, which is pretty good.
I was just looking at people who thermal pasted, and it looks like the X cross is the most optimal pattern based on decades of testing.
It depends on the size.
I mean, it's
of the
competitive
die
with the double line, but you know.
Well, the way it just all depends on what your internal die
What,
shape are.
Pondo? What? How is that funny? What part of that is amusing? This is what confuses me. Like, I will take you laughing at a joke that I've told, but I didn't even tell a joke.
Yeah, I didn't.
You're muted.
No joke detected.
Maybe he's just laughing at something Cotton did.
You're
I
still
don't know.
muted, Pondo.
Maybe.
I think he's just talking to Cotton.
I'm talking to you, but I was muted.
Okay.
No, it's I just started imagining that as two kids discussing what shape is better, the double line, or what lines are better, the double line or the cross.
The X cross, yeah.
It all depends on the size of your.
I mean, they're both optimal for getting a 100% spread as compared to the other layouts that you can possibly attempt. Okay, whatever, Pondo.
Like
don't mind me.
Now, if you just used a graphite thermal pad, you wouldn't have to worry about.
Or if you use a
hammer.
liquid metal, you just use a liquid metal sheet and it just covers the whole top, and you don't got to worry about it.
Thermal pad. All right, yeah. I'm gonna look these up.
No, James, I'll try and find it.
They're actually not expensive.
Wow,
and
these are surprisingly affordable, actually, and they look exactly like what I would have thought that they are. You just slap them on there, and then I guess you put the cooler right on top.
Yeah,
okay,
they use them for GPUs. They use them for cooling VRMs on GPUs and motherboards.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Operational temperature of minus 200 degrees Celsius. Well, honestly, if you are operating your computer at that kind of temperature, what do you want
trying to do quantum computing?
I was gonna say,
and then they're used.
No, that's not cool enough for quantum computing, but it's too cold for literally anyone else. What are you, like in fucking space?
They're mostly used by guys who, I mean, there's a small subset using, but they're mostly used by guys who are doing the LN2 cooling for like extreme overclocking to hit like benchmarks and stuff. But I mean, they're used on GPUs and stuff.
They're affordable and they don't cook off, so you don't have to worry about replacing them.
I've started using the liquid metal stuff. It's just so nice because it just goes across the entire top of the external heatsink, and you ain't got to worry about shit. And it's metal to metal contact. And I like.
Well, you do have to be careful not to get it into the rest of your systems because
yeah, but modern CPUs are fucking big enough. Like, I mean, if you because
land
aircraft
trowel to layer it onto the
right. Well, it's just a sheet, right?
That's my problem.
But James, I have to find it, but there is it's a BMW Z3 that a guy fit a Ferrari V10 into.
That's fine. I'm just saying that rotary people roll in their grave when you talk about putting a V8 into a rotary.
Well, okay, but here's why people do it, because they do it for insurance reasons, because they want a V8, but the RX-8 is a 1.3 liter. It technically, at least in the States, it counts as a 4-door. They're half doors, but they're doors. So it counts as a 1.3 liter 4-door. And it's just super cheap on insurance. You get it insured, then you drop a V8 in the son of a bitch. And look, now you've got a RX-8 with the, V8 and a turbocharger. So people do it. It's a pretty easy swap to stick an LS in that thing.
That those were words.
They were indeed words. James understood all of them.
I'm going to pass my intros on to a man who also has built computers.
Hello. Yes, it has been 44 hours since we've seen each other last. It's been a time of work, a time of yard work.
Time of total workfare, you could say.
A time of total workfare. That is what it has been.
I'm so good at naming things, Pondo, and you know it. I'm incredible.
Did you see that the guitarist of Queen injured his buttocks in an extreme gardening incident this weekend?
Sorry.
That's some dedication.
No, you said extreme gardening, right? I can buy that. I definitely could buy the concept that there is extreme gardening because people do some weird fucking shit, man.
Is that gardening in the jungle? Is that?
It's gardening on Catachan.
I mean,
Very
let's just start with people who make those giant hedge Tyrannosauruses. Like, for me, that's like the baseline of gardening. Like, if you're not at that level, it's just landscaping. That's gardening.
Have you seen the video of the guy who he was trying to trim a bunch of hedge, like, you know, like we're talking like it's like a hedge maze level, whatever, and he couldn't find a way to get up there. So he took a crane that he had, and he just has a lawnmower suspended from the crane and is just moving it along the top of the hedges. I fucking lost. Like, it's like that looks shopped, and then it's like, but there's a video of it. I'm like, that's not shopped. And it's not just a push mower; it's a riding like big deck lawnmower that is just.
Well, yeah, it's got to have the torque necessary to, you know, to actually.
You got to get the coverage. You know, you want to get the whole top of the hedge in one go. You don't want to have to do, you know, not like a lawn. It was fucking hilarious. I'm like, I mean, necessity, right? I mean, you got to do it. You got to do it. But it's just funny to me.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's been a lot of yard work and a lot of day job work for me yesterday and today. I've got about halfway through a new video, so I have accomplished something somewhat YouTube related, which it's been almost 2 weeks, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, I got pulled into a stream off the cuff last night, and it started out as a very lengthy and in-depth discussion on the DMCA and copyright and fair use, and it evolved to the point of measuring our own foreheads. And
yep, I was there for that, Sid.
I didn't get to the measuring the forehead part.
Nope, I was there when Sid Alpha's face suddenly appeared on the screen, and I was like, "What?"
When you guys talked about
or stream.
Sid, when you were giving Rachel shit for you know, saying she's an internet youngin or whatever, and I kept telling you to bring your Doom discs to school tomorrow so I can install it on my new PC. I don't know if they ever went through.
I'm sorry, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I just kept like making old internet references that only a couple people got. I was
those are conversations that I recall having had. You know, bring your Doom discs to school.
I mean, I'm 27.
Bring your X-wing floppies.
Like I'm 27, right? But I grew up poor, so I had shitty PCs for a very long time. So I played most of those old games because I had a very shitty PC for the longest time, and those games ran fine. So it's like, you know, not quite the same, but I have installed Doom off a floppy disk a couple of times. I've installed the old Duke Nukem games a couple of times too. You know,
one time we actually did a school report on Doom, so
yeah,
that was yeah, I was
the shareware success story, man.
A complete and total nerd even back then.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why you'd say even back then. Like, I could believe you were a nerd.
Even more of a nerd now. So
born by it, molded by it.
Okay, well, you know, speaking of nerds, let's jump to Pondo the Man.
I could have gone anyone.
You want to contest that, Pondo? You want to contest that? You seem like maybe you're gearing up for a fight. You don't think you're a nerd?
No, I'll agree with your statement.
Okay. I was gearing up for a fight.
Well, that's unfortunate for you.
I just feel like fighting you today for some reason.
I don't know why. I've done nothing to you.
It's that haircut. It's very aggressive.
He's like the male version of Karen.
Wow. I just feel that's just, I mean, come on. Look, that's a little too far.
Jiminy, man.
I'm sorry.
You went right for the jugular on that
one.
I mean, damn.
I know.
That's look, when I say it's too far, I mean, that's saying something.
What do you got, Pondo?
I don't have much. I've just been mostly working on a Death Corps of Krieg list over the week.
I hope you don't like money.
Yeah, no, I noticed that.
It's.
Sorry, did I say course? I knew it was core. I don't know why I said core.
Yeah,
S is silent. Yeah, no,
it's the most expensive way to play Astra Militarum. It really is.
Yeah.
Just
and
wait
you
until
don't even have access to all the nice stuff that the rest of Astra Militarum has.
Just wait until James hears me say Solaris.
There's I think Victoria Miniatures, Pondell. It's an Australian company that does some third-party stuff. that looks very similar to DKK, but the prices are a lot more just the problem is all the deathcore stuff is all in resin too, which means it's a pain in the ass to build.
Yeah. I don't have plans on buying any anytime soon. I mostly just made a list on Tabletop Simulator to test out sometime, possibly.
Yeah. And honestly, as long as you're not playing in an official GW store, most people don't give a shit. But it's like the DKK stuff is just, they have enough interest in it. I don't know why they haven't made plastic ones of them yet.
Forge World. It's a Forge World thing. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a red. Well, I mean, but so is some of the other stuff. But like Mark III and Mark IV Marines used to be like that, and then there was enough of a demand for it that they started making them out of plastic.
I actually joined a Facebook buy, swap, and sell page yesterday for 40K, and like the top rule of this thing is like GW products only, nothing else. You know, we've had trouble. We've been threatened in the past. We've gotten letters. GW products only, and then the posts start coming out for me, and it's like, wow, these are actually some good models at good pricing. Recast. Everything is recasts.
The sad thing is so there's a subreddit called Mini Swap that I bought some stuff from. Had a pretty good experience with that. I mean, it's more or less just like standard form, you know, like have money or whatever for trade, you know, want whatever location, you know, you just put your state or whatever. And I bought some like Chaos Space Marines and stuff. But they have some recast stuff because it's essentially anything goes there. But some of those recasts are like way above the Forge World quality castings. It's like, it's sad that the recasts are often better than because a lot of there's some of those recasters will actually fix the problems that, you know, are in the Forge World cast, right? And then before they make their molds, and so you can actually get recasts that are better quality. I was like, Forge World needs to fucking fix their shit. It's very apparently the Augustus Knights. The casts are horrible. I've seen just the amount of foot. Some people said there were a couple of guys who said that I should be able to be a body shop, like, you know, repair guy after working on some of these fucking Forge World kits because the amount of body filler that I have to use is insane. I'm like, it's like, yeah, that seems about right. I got a Leviathan that was just a nightmare.
Let me double check what's going on in chat right now. If my understanding of this is correct, because I'm not a DOS programmer. James, you want to copy all of Duke Nukem off of a floppy disk directly to the C drive? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, and Sid just deletes the whole fucking computer, apparently.
Just Windows.
Well, no, because
isn't that everything that's on the goddamn
back then you had
because you're in DOS.
Back then you had MS-DOS,
okay,
and then Windows was its own thing that ran on DOS.
I don't know the difference between that. I don't have that level of programming knowledge, but apparently you're just going to destroy Windows.
No, you could just do format C:\n. That way, everybody with no confirmation.
Oh my god! Listen to all these DOS programmers out here. I'm so glad that there's not like a Google Assistant that will take everything you just said and automatically run them on your PC or some shit. Oh god. Hondo, you got anything else?
No.
All
I've
right.
got nothing else.
Whatever you do, don't do what Sid Alpha said. Let's just start there. I mean, unless you're using Linux and you've got some sort of DOS box that you're running, I guess then that's fine. Atomic, what do you got?
It's been a week of weeks. Lots of ups and downs. I'm sure people are aware I did dip out Saturday because I almost passed out on the floor going to get some water.
I think they're aware of it.
Yeah. If they're here Wednesday, and I was in the ER for the better part. I didn't get home until about Jesus Christ, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 a.m. Sunday morning, and then the sleeping off that chemical concoction for the better part of 3.5 days. So that's pretty much all I did there. Just in a stupor that I hate, because like you're lethargic enough that you can't do anything, but you're not actually tired enough to fall asleep. So you're like in the in between. It just sucks. Like you can't sleep or actually do anything, and it's miserable.
You like that all the time.
Time seems to slow to a crawl, and it's just I hate that feeling. I hate laying around doing nothing. It's just my brain just feels like it's going to explode. But it's mostly just been sitting around. I got a call Tuesday. I was supposed to have surgery. I was like, hey, you want to have wrist surgery Friday? I'm like, yes. Well, Thursday night, I get a call they're like, yeah, a piece of equipment that we need is had to be used for something else. I'm assuming another procedure or something that's probably more important. And, you know, I was looking forward to actually getting the surgery Friday because it might be one of multiple. So it's like the sooner we get going, the sooner it'll be over with. So I'm waiting for them to call me back, and it's just been just hanging out, not really doing a whole lot. It's just been slow, you know, what I guess still quarantine shenanigans, whatever. But nothing really going on. It's been my week.
Well, James, I don't know what to say. I feel like I had a thing here, but I guess all I'll say before we move on is, did you know that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to have customizable genitals just like Conan Exiles?
I did know
did
this,
hear this.
actually.
Yep. I was actually very happy this week.
There's no way this will be horrendously abused on a regular basis.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, right?
Including epic dung physics.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So when Conan Exiles dropped, it was myself, Hinley, Farrell, some other people played, and after the 10 minutes of everybody laughing like a 12-year-old, you know, it's like dongs and, you know, the big chest, whatever. It was like, you know, it's like, okay, it's funny for 5 minutes, and then no one gives a shit. So I think once it actually drops, you'll see a bunch of memes, you'll see some stuff about it, and then it'll drop off, because it's exactly what happened with Conan. Now, granted, there's probably gonna be more people playing Cyberpunk than played Conan, but still, it's like, oh, it's funny for a couple minutes, and then it's like, all right, it's okay. Now back to being a semi-adult is what I think will happen, because that's what has happened before.
Nope.
So
I was actually happy this week because the ACRB, the Australian Classification and Review Board, for a long time didn't have an R rating for video games. So if a game previously would classify as an R rating, it was denied classification, and anything which doesn't get classified cannot legally be sold in the country. It's considered banned, basically. So, for example, Mortal Kombat 10 was probably the first really big game that copped this. And also, they're very particular on drug references. So Fallout 3 was originally banned in Australia because initially on release, Fallout 3's healing drug was called morphine. They didn't want people thinking they could access morphine to heal wounds, so they banned it here until Bethesda changed it to MedX, like, you know, insert random not real name here, and that's that. They then gave it a 15 plus classification. But they were sitting on Cyberpunk for a while, once again because of the drug use in Cyberpunk. They didn't classify it straight away, but they have actually now classified it this week as RR, so which is 18 plus here.
Well, there was
since it's classified, you will be able to buy it at least.
Well, there was a company that like convinced them. It's like, hey, your method of classifying things is old and bullshit, and they actually managed to convince them to reevaluate how they classified stuff. And I was like incredibly surprised that happened.
Yeah,
because they've been notoriously stubborn about that shit.
This country is a classic example of the problems with the common law system, where everything is based upon like old law data. You know, so for example, sheep still have right of way on all Australian roads because of agricultural heritage. You know, you can legally go through someone else's property without their permission, provided you can show that it was the fastest way to take your livestock to water. Yeah, so
interesting.
I feel like that's one of those laws that's on the books, but definitely would only come up in a test where someone was shot but lived.
It's what it sounds like. It's like one of those things of like, I think it was back in October or November. There was a couple here in the States that wanted that, like, or not this, maybe it wasn't the States, maybe it was England, but they were going to settle their divorce via trial by combat. It's like legally they could do it, but the judge wouldn't let them do it. But it's like in 100% legal terms, that was a legal resolution that they could do, but they're like, yeah, we're not doing that, even though they could. Yeah, it was just really funny that, you know, it's shit like that. I'm like,
Yeah, everywhere you go, there are stupid laws that are still on the books. Like I believe, if I remember correctly, in Montana, it's actually, there's still a law in the books that allows you to shoot Indians from a covered wagon.
Wow.
Yeah, not surprising.
I mean, I think that there's a law in Atlanta that you're not allowed to tie your giraffe off to light posts.
Yeah, there's a
That
bunch
one,
of horse.
listen,
there's a bunch
that
of horse
one
stuff.
had a very clear origin.
And
That
I
was
wanna know that
only
story.
it was only relevant as long as private giraffe ownership was a thing.
A city that is only an hour drive away from me, it is illegal to walk your pet alligator down the sidewalk.
I feel like it would be difficult for an
You live in
alligator to live
Idaho.
that far
Wait,
north.
well, here's the thing. You live in Idaho, don't you? Like, if that was in Florida, I'd be like, think about it for a second. I'd be like, yeah, okay, like Florida, Louisiana. It's like I could see that, but fucking, there's
You know that
reason
most
that
of these
exists.
laws-
It's only there because someone had done it.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna
So-
say
I know,
these
and I
laws
wanna know that
exist
story.
because someone pissed the local community off somewhere in the early 1800s by being like, "Well, yeah, I own an alligator, motherfuckers. I'm gonna walk it wherever I want." And then they were like, "Listen, judge, this alligator is a nuisance, and it bit my daughter's leg." And he's gonna be like, "Well, alligators are illegal to walk in the public areas now."
Yeah, you hear stories every now and again, not like relatively close to where I live, where people live in communities where there are just signs posted, beware of gator, and you hear about people's dogs getting attacked, and it's like, yeah, you'll see somebody on the news like, yeah, I don't go walk my dog without a loaded sidearm because you never know when one of those green little bastards is going to come out of the water and try and take a bite. I'm like, I think I would just like either not walk my dog there or I don't know, move.
Wow.
It's like you can move 5 miles away and not have to worry about fucking alligators.
Probably open carry laws are different. In Delaware, you have to you
depends on the
can't
county.
walk around with a loaded weapon, and you have to transport them with the ammunition and the gun in different
Separate.
parts. Yeah,
it's the same way in a lot of the states, but like here,
there are parts of Delaware where you also can't have a loaded magazine.
there
you have to-
Around here, the entire state is it's legal concealed carry and castle.
Yeah, constitutional carry. Yeah, constitutional carry.
Yeah, we don't have that here.
Well, I'm not surprised.
We also don't have a lot of shootings here. We do have a
We don't
surprisingly
have a lot
large
of
amount of
shootings here
crime.
either.
Huge amount of crime.
Here it's I think you can open carry unless you actually, if you have a concealed carry permit. This is a thing that I didn't like in Alabama either. Granted, whatever, but if you have a concealed carry permit, you must concealed carry. You are not allowed to open carry.
That's weird.
Huh.
Yeah, right.
That's weird.
Yeah. So there was always a thing where I only ever concealed carried when I lived in Alabama, but it was just like you had to by law. You were no longer allowed to open carry stuff, and it was like I go through all the whatever. I actually got to get recertified here in Florida, but with all this business, obviously all the ranges are closed. So
I'm afraid to go to my ranges, but that's only because they're white supremacist terrorist recruiting grounds that actually attempted to pull off a hit on a local politician.
yeah,
So I'm afraid to go anywhere near them.
Mine's run by the county, and it's run by a bunch of dudes who are like competition shooter judges, and they're all pretty chill. So it's run by the county.
I
It's
wish
like $10
I could find
for
a
a full
range
day.
where people were pretty chill.
Yeah. So-
Actually, the two ranges around here are extremely chill.
And the RSOs are not
More
Nazis,
often than
which I
not,
love.
half of the people there are off-duty police officers.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of the range that I also go to is also the range that the local, like the counties, or not the county, but one of the city SWAT teams around here goes to shoot as well.
Yeah, I
For
guess
some
I
of the,
need
like,
to find
longer
one of
range
the police. There has to be a police range around here because there's 5 levels of cops.
You might be able to find a
Local
range that has
area.
I mean, some ranges have so at least in here where I live, so most of the counties have their own ranges, which is just like a flat fee, and obviously most of that money, it supports the range cleanup, well, whatever, the maintenance and stuff. And then there's some where you can, let's say on like normal people can go on like a Saturday and you can pay a fee, but the rest of the days of the week you have to have a like membership fee. There might be a bunch of that stuff all around you. Or I know New Hampshire has a fuck ton of them.
There's a contingent of guys at my local range who are enamored with America's gun laws and love everything about America's gun culture, and they love to dress up in like Western cowboy style outfits for certain nights and do like banding their 6-shooters and lever action shotguns. They love to act out their fantasy.
No, I love lever action. That's the ones, the cowboy action one where you're like, ka-tow, ka-tow.
Well, yeah, no, it's literally called cowboy.
those.
It's literally called cowboy action shooting. James, you ever seen any of Hickok 45's videos and stuff? He was a big cowboy action guy. There's a couple of guys near here. You'll see them like they're not in the full get up, but you'll see them with their like their holsters and the belts with all the shells in them, because they still practice some of that stuff. But I mean,
F stands for fun.
F stands for fun. Yeah. I feel bad for you, AP. Most ranges are not like that, I promise.
Yeah,
I've never been to a range with that problem, and I'm from fucking northern Alabama. It's like I've never, you might see a couple of good old boys, but I wasn't tried,
I don't know what's going on in my local area. Like people try to recruit me for KKK here more times than when I was in the backwoods of West Virginia. So
yeah, I essentially almost lived at my range in Alabama, and I've never had, other than the tinnitus incident, I've never had problems with any of that. I was on a first name basis with the guys who ran the place, and everything was just like, never had that problem.
James, I have one follow-up question before we finish your intro.
I haven't done intro yet.
I know. We went immediately to guts. Final Fantasy VII. I'm actually playing with it right now. So my fucking PS4, I'm in the middle of a really emotional scene where Jesse's like, blah, oh no, grenades, bombs everywhere, weep, tears, and then I hear a noise and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I look over, my disc has been ejected from my PlayStation 4, and I'm like, what is this shit? And I try to put the disc back in and it automatically ejects it out. Turns out my fucking PS4, this little rubber gasket thing, expands under heat. So if you play for more than 2 hours, it automatically expands and puts pressure on the eject button to continuously eject. And since I'd never gotten more than 2 hours of continuous playtime with my PlayStation 4, I didn't understand what was happening, and I had to spend a whole hour pulling this fucking PlayStation. I'm so mad, but I finally finished the scene, and it ended really dumb. It was a dumb scene. Have you played any Final Fantasy VII?
So after the stream last week, because I think I said that one of the things that my wife got me for our anniversary was the 1989 Lego Batmobile, and that was like 6 hours of total build time. So pretty much most of the time that I wasn't actually doing work, like up until Wednesday, I was building a Lego Batmobile, and then since then, yeah. So the thing is, my PS4 is downstairs in like the living area, so I can't do it while the kids are up. I can only do it in the evening when the kids go to bed. And I've just been playing and doing other stuff. I've been painting more stuff. I installed Divinity Original Sin 2 only because I ran across a Matt Mercer video where he was running it used like in GM mode.
Yeah, for
and I never played
Jesse Cox and those guys.
Yeah,
dude. So James, look, I usually don't go to bed till like 8 a.m. anyway, and you're playing something, dude. Hit me up, man. I fucking love Divinity. I'll play some with you. I got nothing better to do.
So you're a Divinity player as well, right? You and Cotton?
Oh,
I haven't played in a while, but yes, this is a good. This is a fun game.
Shouting that out there.
Yeah, it's he does it with it's what is it?
Jesse Cox,
and
Bike Man, Dodger.
Is it Bike Man?
Yeah.
I'll give you this
one other guy. I don't remember who it was.
I think it might have been Strippin, which is Dodger's husband. I think maybe whatever. But I know the video you're talking about. It's great though.
That was my week pretty much. I had a lot of work. This week was a killer week for work. I had some pretty shit work days, but thankfully they won't translate to next week. Next week will be much easier. Fingers crossed. Touch wood. But yeah, that's my week. Intro done. Let's play.
Did you mean to say knock on wood?
Yeah, tap on wood. What did I say?
You said touch wood.
Okay, well,
I assumed it was just a local Australian thing, but I just want to double check and make sure.
Yeah, tap on wood, knock on wood, touch wood, that sort of stuff. Yeah, same thing.
Right. I've never heard it as anything other than knock on wood.
Oh,
fine. Look, it's fine. I'm learning. It's like when I learned about chickens a week and a half ago.
I was laughing so much then as well. That was funny. But not as much as I still like for my top thing from streaming in the past couple of weeks was Cotton's sick burn on the BattleTech system. With her suggestion about giving grenade launchers stats.
It could do 4 points of damage.
That's it. Yeah, that floored me. I was done. Yeah, because especially because that week I to help you out, mate. I deliberately didn't watch live. I saved it for YouTube so I could watch it on YouTube and get your numbers up there, mate. So.
I posted a thing about it, and Dave was like, "Those numbers don't look organic," and I was like, listen, that's my bullshit in each one of those videos. Those are pure organic. You could not get a more pure Arthur Perkins verbal bullshit than that. I didn't know what he meant. I still don't know what he meant. He explained it to me, and I still don't know what it means.
So actually, can I ask one quick gaming-related question, everyone, before we get started? Is system-related? This week, Cubicle 7 released Age of Sigmar Soulbound, which is the Age of Sigmar RPG to go along with Wrath and Glory. And of course, they didn't have Wrath and Glory in their portfolio when they first started working on Soulbound. So Soulbound and Wrath and Glory was sort of developed in a vacuum from each other, although I suspect, based on some similarities, there was probably some collaboration either with or through GW. But so as you know, in Wrath and Glory, the basic system is attribute plus skill equals dice pool. 4s or above are a success, 6s are 2 successes, and you're rolling for a total number of successes. Soulbound system is attribute plus skill equals dice pool, but any test has a difficulty, which is the number on a dice required to count as a success, and a complexity, which is the total number of successes. So like a dice test might be 4-2, and you need 4s or above count, you need 2 successes, or it could be 6-1 or 5-4, whatever the case may be. Does that sound just confusing to you, or less intuitive, or more intuitive, or what do you think of that? Just as a general,
I zoned out while you were telling it.
I don't think it's confusing at all, but it does sound like it sounds not too dissimilar from Shadowrun, where you end up with, here's this giant pile of 40 d6 that I must roll and sort through, or Warhammer Tabletop, where here's 24 d6 or 48
more
d6.
dice than our dice tray is capable
let
of
me
calculating.
introduce you to the Dragon Ball Z RPG, where it is possible to have 1,000,000 d6 dice pool.
You mean the one that was written by Mike Pondsmith?
I'm not sure about it, but I know it exists. I haven't played it.
Good stuff.
If it was written by Pondsmith, I could believe it.
But I can point you once again back to.
To my mind, the concept of that with that would be fine, as long as the system was designed to mitigate the number of, you can't have a difficulty higher than this number of successes, or something of that nature, to help limit the number of dice that you would have to be rolling.
Yeah, that's something that even Rogue Trader has. Like in Rogue Trader, you can't get a total benefit or penalty of more than plus minus 60, no matter how many things you stack. So, yeah. But I mean, there are certain game systems that do limit that sort of thing.
Did you see, James, that Frontier development, same guys who do Elite Dangerous, same guys who've done I guess it's the newest Jurassic Park sim building, whatever fucking thing. They also done some of the newer Tycoon games, but they got a license. They're doing an Age of Sigmar RTS for GW now.
Yeah, GW give a license to anybody. Yeah, if you want to make
Frontier's a competent company.
Throw licenses at you.
And a lot of people have really liked their I'd say Tycoon games, like Tycoon style games. Plus, obviously, the Jurassic Park game was very well received. So people are wondering, because it probably more. A lot of people are assuming it's going to be like a more traditional RTS, because the Total War like grand campaign thing is already obviously locked in by it's Relic, who the fuck, not Relic, but whatever. So we're thinking it's gonna be more of a traditional one, but it'll be the first. I think it'll be the first Age of Sigmar like proper game, not like a mobile game, to come out since they did that. Drop the Age of Sigmar IP. So should be pretty good.
I'll send you a link to a funny article from 2016 where the article is titled "Pigeon Trapped in Games Workshop Office Receives License to Make Warhammer Game."
Wow! Holy shit! Wow!
Yeah.
So they will throw their license at anybody right now.
Yeah. I wish they wouldn't. I really wish they wouldn't.
All right, we good then? Let's get started.
I will say real quick, I mean, this is part of this. So because I've just been busy all day, I have managed to get up to the part right when you guys started trying to figure out whether the Calixis did or did not have a fucking cargo bay.
Did have a cargo bay. Turns out I was 100% correct.
Yeah, and then I had to go get groceries and I got sidetracked and everything else. But yeah, I've got through most of that. So
what I'm going to suggest, and this will play out, is that I'm going to suggest that Cyrax did not go to the planet surface for the meeting with Holt and Kiergan, and I'm just going to quickly do a scene with him on the Hand of Calixis, and then you can all meet up again after that, if everyone's happy with that.
Yeah, that's pretty much how things
I
went
mean,
down.
he had a lot of work to do anyway, making sure everything's working. And
I mean, he's got to
whatever.
go to his cog boys and be like, welcome, I am the leader now. And they must be like, great, Omnisci, be praised.
Yeah, see, that's what it looks like.
Champagne
But
role-playing. Champagne up.
the binary undertones, it just says, I am the captain now. And, you know.
All right, so I'll start off with a last time on Rogue Trader, the Last Scion. We see once again a montage. We see the Master of Whispers laying out the history of what happened on Regina 4 to the group. There is a sweeping shot of a derelict void ship on the surface of the planet as a shuttle overflies it. The senior crew of the Hand of Calixis minus Cyrax walk down the shuttle ramp and set foot on Landfall Colony for the first time. Nero and Keegan size each other up across the table of Administrator Holt's dinner with the guests. And then finally, Pierre receives a readout which shows a massive subterranean structure beneath the derelict ship on the planet's surface. We have thought for the day. It is better that 1 million innocent fall before the wrath of the Emperor than one traitor kneels before the Lords of Darkness. And we have then earlier on the Hand of Calixis. So Cyrax, you're sort of, as Arthur suggested, catching up with the key technical personnel who are still aboard the ship that weren't taken off and shot by the former rogue trader, / stabbed. Did you remember? Were you in the first scene with the Master of Whispers at the last game? Did you participate in that one?
No, that was just me and Pierre.
Okay, no worries. So you haven't heard about the core in character?
No.
Pierre's the only one who's heard about that core. The planet core. There you go, prequel memers.
Yeah, tell me how you feel about sand.
Come on. So the most senior existing tech priest aboard the Hand of Calixis, among those that weren't taken to the planet's surface, is a Mechanicus adjunct by the name of Septimus C36.
Is he Septimus because he's the 8th?
He's the 7th.
Or 7th, sorry. Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be Optimus.
That's true.
He's there with a bunch of like non-tech priest aides, ready to sort of report for duty. Agency Prime, we welcome you to the Hand of Calixis.
Your welcome is acknowledged. Let us dispense with the pleasantries. There is much work to be done.
Yes, the machine spirit of this ship is damaged and requires careful ministrations.
I see. What is the current status of the plasma tribes?
The systems, the mechanical components of the systems are all fully functional. The plasma drive is lit. The warp engines are stable. The Geller field will hold. It is the soul of the ship that struggles right now. The infection wrought by the technology brought aboard has left a mark, even though it has been removed from the ship. It has left a curse upon the soul of the ship.
And do I know what he's talking about when he says what was brought aboard?
I don't think so, no, because that was discussed in that private meeting.
Okay. Elaborate on this technology you speak of.
Rogue Trader Cowles brought aboard a pre-imperial probe many months ago, and has been dissecting it in a Mechanicus maintenance bay, which has been locked to all but the captain and the engineer prime. The machine intelligence of the probe was somehow able to infect the machine spirit of the vessel. But once the core of the probe was removed, its malign influence upon the vessel ended, but damage has been wrought irrespective.
This is most perturbatory. I'm going to take a note down on my data slate to contact the captain at once. Other than the machine spirit needing our ministrations, are there any other critical failures we need to be aware of?
There is approximately 14% of the ship that we have currently abandoned, left unpowered and unpressurized simply because of removal of key hull substructures that would be difficult to replace in space. The ship will require refit at a proper facility once we have the required tools, but it is capable of both void and warp travel as it stands. The biological elements of the ship are at low capacity, but still able to function.
Not yet servitors.
Jesus.
Duly noted. Continue your work. Let's see. Septimus. I'm just gonna call him Septimus. So he's the second highest ranking Mechanicus adept currently, yeah?
Yeah, there'd probably be other higher ranked people under you normally, but said a lot of the senior crew were working on the planet's surface and were killed in whatever incident happened down there. So he is the most senior current. So he may be entitled to if he's actually any good, which you've yet to determine, he may be entitled to a promotion. Otherwise, you get someone better.
Septimus, your report has been most satisfactory. I will remember this in future. Please get back to your work. I will bring this information to the captain's attention. Post haste.
He nods his head, makes so you might know this, Atomic. They keep referring the books to making the symbol of the Cog Mechanicus with their hands. I know how they make the Aquila. I'm not sure how they make the symbol of the Cog Mechanicus with their hands.
The cogs together.
Oh, okay.
What I've been told. There was one of the writers, or not one of the writers, or one of the artists had talked about it, how they did it, and then one of the writers followed up. Like after that artist did that, said that on Twitter or something. It's in one of the newer books. One of the artists, or sorry, one of the writers described it. But they say interlocked fingers, not like in the shape of a cog or cogs. So I was like, well, I assume that's how you would have to do that.
Yep.
So that's how I've always done it.
Well, that's how he does it.
Okay. That's how Dad did it. It's always worked for America.
That's how Dad did it. That's how the Mechanicus does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah. God, that movie was amazing. Incredible to think that 90% of it was improv.
Dude, I mean, some of the best stuff is like, half of Robin Williams' stuff was improv. It seems like so. It's
it's hard to compare it to Robin Williams, but
I'm just saying a lot of the best and Robin Williams and oh my God, Bill Murray does a lot of it too. Like a lot of some of the best moments in movies is improv, and it makes it the movie because it's so good. It's just
Hey, I'm very excited for Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars film. So there's a lot of his stuff.
I thought that was a joke. He tweeted psych to it.
Did he? Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If Disney throws some money at him, I bet he'll change his mind real quick.
But so, Atomic, according to Into the Storm, your direct subordinates are appointed Magos Engineerium, the emissary of the Lathic Arc Magi, and the aggregate council of machine shrine tech priests on the ship.
Oh shit, we got some Lathe Magi on here.
Well, so the Lathe Worlds are based in the Calixis sector, so certainly there would be.
I guess that would make sense.
Can someone explain to me what you're saying?
So the Lathe Worlds are a series of planets that are
make
kind
sharp
of
knives.
No, they're a collection of planets that are essentially almost like a faction of the Mechanical Moon and of themselves, because like they make all their own pattern stuff.
So the Lathe Worlds are 3 planets in a system that have a very unusual gravitational pull based upon the way the 3 planets are aligned in relation to their sun. So at various points in time during the year, during their orbit of the sun, there are certain gravitational forces that allow certain technology to be produced that can't be produced anywhere else in the Imperium.
They're also known as, because they've had multiple civil wars, and at one point their Skitarii troops were decimated to the point, or obliterated to the point to where they were like, oh man, we need some fighty boys. Let's get the most aggro of the tech priests and load them up with lots of weapons, lots of armor, and send them into combat. They're called the Crimson Guard. There's actually a thing you can play as in Only War, I believe. But yeah, no, there's some really fighty tech priests instead of like the more nerdy types. But I'm just surprised because there's not a ton. The Lathe Worlds don't have a massive population, so it's just I wasn't expecting Lathe Magi to be on board. But that is interesting because that opens up some possibilities.
All right, so let's go forward. So let's assume that Cyrax, for the most part, was checking out the systems of the Hand of Calixis after the others went to the surface, and so subsequently later on their shuttle returns, and this is the point that you've received this communication from the surface that Pierre, that the seismic sensors were set up and determined this subterranean construct or whatever it is exists beneath the ship. So shall we have a group meeting under this basis?
Yep, but Nero's not going to be the one to initiate it.
All right, who's going to initiate it?
I'm initiating the group meeting.
Okay. Do you want any NPCs there, or is it just PCs only?
PCs only.
My servitor is coming regardless.
I was going to ask to bring the servitor as well.
Okay, just to be clear,
I
this
wasn't
is the evil servitor that contacts the Necrons, right?
This is a completely normal servitor as far as
as far as I know. As far as
Yes,
Nero
it
knows,
is
but as far as I know, this thing is evilly spying on everything we're about to say. Just to be clear.
That's right. And Nero is turning up with a heavy bolter. So.
Yes.
I don't think it is. I remember because it can only perform. It's a pre-programmed thing. It doesn't have the programming to spy on.
So it's the information you're given was that it cannot communicate with its host in the warp. It needed to be out of the warp for it to establish, and you're not sure because keeping in mind the Imperium's only form of FTL communication is through psychics.
Astropathic. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not sure how it would communicate, but apparently, according to when you spoke to before, when you're out of the warp, you could communicate directly with the.
Well, it said it could send a signal, right? Because I had it send the acknowledgement signal that the fact that it was still alive to send that signal.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it specifically said that its task was pre-programmed. So unless it's also programmed to, because its responses were limited as well. So unless it's programmed to spy and relay, which even I don't know that yet until I take it apart at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, no, that servitor's been following me pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn into a gun servitor at some point, I'm sure.
I assume this has been done in the in your sealed room.
Yes.
Only PCs
Nero,
there, so I can't NPC you lead in. So begin
Nero
role playing now.
saunters in and takes his seat and lays the heavy bolter down in front of him and just kind of waits for everybody else to show up. Then he coughs lightly when he just sees everybody else staring at each other. He says, Captain, normally I would kick these things off, but you're the one who called us here.
Yes.
Would you like me to do a recap?
I'm thinking on how to start this. I'm just going to go with it.
Well, what are we doing, Captain? I believe our plan to move forward was to fly back down to the surface, and the four of us would invade and purify the crashed heavy cruiser and the secret location we found underneath it.
Yes.
Okay, well then
Then
he starts standing up and picks up the heavy bolter and says, is there anything else to talk
down.
about? Okay,
Yes.
he puts the bolter down and sits back down and says, okay.
So
after going through and getting all this evidence and clues, I have some theories as to what might be going on amongst everything we know. The core, I probably said that wrong, but it's fine.
Close enough, sir.
Thank you. Is part of the issue, but there's something that's underlying that I have suspicion of. Previously during the warp, Cyrax was contacted through some unknown beings he kind of points to the servitor and who talked to me and says there's something on this planet that they wish to find. I believe what they're looking for is causing the mess with the blanks and the area of the reason why there's such a warp blank.
Sir, if I can interrupt you here for just a moment.
Yes.
I want to leap back to this servitor. You're saying that while we were in the warp underneath a Geller field, this servitor received communications in a non-Garthic way and spoke with you, and you communicated back with it?
It was I believe...
The servitor was programmed to deliver a pre-recorded message.
So this servitor has been reprogrammed by a unknown force.
Correct.
All right, so Nero just reframes the heavy bolter in its direction. He's not standing up, hands nowhere near the trigger, but he just wants to make sure the gun is pointed at the correct direction. And he says, "And you don't have any cause for concern about this."
My mechadendrite's gonna
wine and kind of
my mechadendrite
without actually looking at it head on. Like
my
I'm looking
mechadendrite
at
is
the
going
wine
to
or the light and say, "I'm amused that I have a way." Apparently,
The other thing is that the being that communicated us that left the recording in the servitor said that within 5 months they'll be here. In order to, it might be less time now. I don't know how long it took us to get here by the time we got that one message.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks.
So about 4 months now, I'm guessing.
And 1 week.
Yeah.
Give or take.
And you, I'm sorry, Lord Captain, you said the being, so you're implying that this is a non-human, a Xenos in nature.
Do not know.
He was not forthcoming with the information. He just did a lot of slamming on our quote unquote primitive technology.
Here's a question. What happens if this mysterious entity doesn't get what they want?
No, here's a better question. How did they know to contact you on Charlebel's ship?
That is a great question I do not have an answer to.
Do not know. I am planning on speaking with these beings since now they should have a direct line.
Sir, I know that you do not highly respect my opinion at the level of heresy and intersection of Xenos, but everything I'm hearing is screaming horrifying treachery and murder. Being with apparently superior intelligence of us that may or may not be human has managed to reprogram an Adeptus Mechanicus construct to contact you remotely while in the warp.
Yes.
And is coming here to kill everyone on this planet, correct?
They never said that. However, if we can remove these colonists, it would be beneficial to them.
There are millions of colonists.
We have 5 months.
I'm planning on trying to strike a different deal because I believe I know.
I have altered the deal.
Where are they looking
I do not
for?
altered further.
I understand, sir. After this meeting, I hope that you will not mind if I double-check the status of the guns and the gun crews aboard this vessel. And
Should always destroy them.
Yes, I see. Garth, yes. Lord Valance is very wise in this regard.
You assume that we have the capability to destroy them? What if they come in a fleet? Then we are well and truly fifth.
They did warn us they would come into fleet within 5 months to clear their path if need be.
The Hand of Calixis is an incredibly good ship. We can outrun whatever we can't outgun.
Would you let me finish?
Very well, sir.
I believe what they're looking for is being kept under the cruiser that's embedded into the ground. What the seismic sensors picked up, there was something was a mile deep in the ground.
So it starts from directly beneath the ship and goes about a mile deep. As far as the sensors can go, and the structure goes that far down.
Right.
Yeah.
So I believe
so Ozcan referred to it as a laboratory.
Right. So I believe that's what they're looking for. So if I can figure out a way to tell them the location that they need, what they're wanting, to let them go there peacefully, hopefully. If not, then we'll have to figure out a way to mass a force that to rival theirs that we do not know about.
Well, if we can figure out what exactly they are after, and we can negotiate a trade for a sufficiently valuable piece of archaeotech, I might be able to propose to the Adeptus Mechanicus a deal that gets the colonist off-world for trade of this technology.
Instead of archaeotech, I believe that we will be receiving xenotech, because
we don't know.
We don't know, but every part of this screams evil alien force to me. Are we sure this isn't you, Voth?
Just because you are naive does not mean the rest of us have to be.
Listen, I know you haven't been in the Calixis sector for long, but the Uvoth do some real weird shit around here.
Regardless, we can speak with them now if you wish. We just
that thing, it managed to send a signal, right? I don't think we can actually talk using the thing.
Yes, he said that we could.
Look,
he had it pre-recorded.
Question as a fallback plan, just in case. Nero, do we have any weapons on board that are capable of penetrating that much of the planet's crust?
Yes, everything on this ship is capable of shooting the planet. I would like to follow up by saying, if there is a laboratory beneath this cruiser, rather than excavating it or trading it, we could simply blow it up and tell them, hey, we destroyed all of your shit, go somewhere else.
No.
I believe that would piss them off.
I believe that would piss off the Adeptus Mechanicus more.
Well, that's not my concern, but it is your concern, Captain.
It is non-negotiable.
Where I come from, trading with aliens is non-negotiable, but here we are.
I have the authority to trade with whoever the hell I please. Destruction of the objective is non-negotiable. Is that clear?
Cyrax, can you have the servitor contact the...
And if the technology proves to be heretic?
That is for the Adeptus Mechanicus to determine. My task is to recover any and all technology that might be beneficial to either the Mechanicus and or the Imperium.
And if you determine it to be heretical in nature?
Then it will be destroyed.
Yes,
but that is yet to be determined.
I agree with that. I think the next step would be to seek this out. I mean, we are basically speaking of brokering a deal with unknown entities over technology of which we do not even know the nature of such things.
It would not be the first time, nor will it be the last.
Can we, Cyrax, can you tell the servitor to start the link, I would say?
I'll give it a binaric, like in binaric, I'll tell it to run the program. Again.
You're muted.
It's like a Google Assistant. It's just waiting for the wait command to actually start, facing. Yeah. Hey, servitor. Tell me.
Hey, servitor.
Hi, the Emperor.
Wow.
So the moment you sort of tell it to do this, the servitor's posture changes. It goes from sort of staring blankly at the wall to sort of a more natural movement akin to its original life, and it looks towards Cyrax, and then it looks towards Pierre. It looks back to Cyrax again. Engine Zip Prime, it's a pleasure to greet you live.
Charmed, I'm sure. The captain had some further questions for you, as well as I.
He turns, looks at the others.
Yes.
So these are your followers?
They are fellow high-ranking members of the crew, yes. But please, Captain.
Yes. I believe I found possibly found the location of what you're looking for. Your laboratory, I believe.
Excellent.
Is it possible that it could be deep within the crust of the planet?
That would depend upon a number of factors, but it is quite likely, yes. Without being able to analyze the planet's weather patterns, it would be hard to say how much material would have amassed on top of our structure in the time since we last operated it.
Interesting. Currently, we have sensors that picked up a sort of shaft going down at least a mile deep underneath a crashed cruiser onto the Earth's surface. It's been there for thousands of years from what we can determine. I believe that it might be the area you're looking for.
So you know that it's there. That's good. You know what we want, which is to remove your population from the world. The only thing we're still waiting is what it is exactly that you would like from us. I believe, Engineer Prime, you mentioned your kind's technology, old technology. We have this in abundance. Well, we've kept some of it for purely interest's sake, but we would certainly have technologies that we could provide you with, either in a data format or in physical format. Although that would necessitate a physical gathering.
God, before it's Trays in the Infinite, man. I'm calling it. He's the only one who has a fucking museum of stuff. It's gotta be him.
I'd prefer to be able to keep my planet, to be perfectly honest. And I was just curious if you would rather just go down, send your man that you need to go down and recover what you need or want, and then you can be on your way.
How would you define keeping your planet?
Yeah, at this point, Nero is like checked out of this conversation. At this point, he's like, yeah, this is an evil alien life form.
I believe what the captain is referring to is you removing what belongs to your people from the planets and then leaving, and then we will retake the planets. Or keep using it, rather.
To close out our former experimentations, we would need to euthanize all life on the planet. So the physical planet would remain, but any carbon-based life would no longer be present.
So they're essentially
Nero is going to write something on a nearby data slot and slide it to Pierre that says null ?
Interesting. Well, we will discuss amongst ourselves what sort of technology that we may be interested, depending on what you could possibly have. Do not know when the next contact will be.
Are you familiar with what a standard template construct is?
There's like a moment of delay, and then, yes, we are aware of this technology.
This is our price.
So these patterns that you, as you described, you wish for patterns?
Affirmative. They are incredibly valuable to my kind and the Imperium as a whole. It would be adequate compensation to both the Mechanicus and the Captain for destruction of such a lush and valuable planet.
I will have a look at the collection and contact you again shortly.
Very
Your
well.
kind, you seem more willing to communicate than others of your kind. There is one other personal request that I might make of you. If there are other things that you would personally desire, there is one thing that I am also looking for from your kind.
When it says that, I will then reply to the servitor in binaric, asking it what this is, and I would like for it to, or I will ask it to answer the query in binaric as well, because I know nobody else can do binaric, can't. So if it's a personal request, just me.
So you can switch it over so that it's basically it's speaking to you in binaric. You're still dealing with OzCan, but you're just the servitor is
translating the best it can.
Yeah, okay.
But we can hear this, right?
You can hear it, but it's just high. It's pretty much.
It's modem board. You're hearing modem board pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So he'd ask you in binaric, are you familiar with what your kind calls a space marine?
I am familiar with the Adeptus Astartes, yes.
All right. I would like to buy one from you. What would be the cost of buying one space marine?
It's fucking treason, dude. It's got to be treason the Infinite. That is not something I can put the price on off the top of my cogitator. I will have to get back to you with that. However, which is your interest in one of the Astartes?
Academic.
I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
Man, I'm so glad you switched to binary for this.
While possible, it would be rather difficult. However, I will not rule it out at this point in time. What are you offering as compensation?
Once again, this is, I need to know what you would, but I don't fully understand what your kind places value on.
To make you slightly more familiar with our organization and why I am in the position of power that I am in, you mentioned that I am more amenable to your requests. It is because I am more open-minded and very driven in a quest to recover our species' lost technology and patterns of technology. It is the most valuable thing for us.
Very good. Well,
the older and rarer the standard template construct, the more value it has to us as a whole.
Let me have a look then. I will say that I understand that your kind is sometimes affected by the energies of the other space, and that if you had one of the space marines that was, I understand that your kind battles them when they have become affected by these energies. I would accept either. It's telling you it'd take a Chaos Space Marine as much as it would take a Loyalist Space Marine.
Well,
but it has got to be alive. It's got to be alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's the easiest thing to do.
Well, I mean, you would be surprised.
Alive.
You would be surprised. There are a lot of them in captivity. Like the Inquisition will keep them in captivity for decades, trying to interrogate them. It's not unheard of, and it's also not unheard of for them to just disappear. They trade them off for stuff on a fairly regular basis to other.
Yeah, literally, the starter adventure for Black Crusade is about a bunch of Chaos Space Marines escaping Imperial captivity.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened before.
The same for our group. It's like, make sure it's still alive. Me thinking is like, these guys literally fight until they die.
well, yeah,
I mean, there's a 0% chance Nero's going to leave a Chaos Space Marine alive. You're going to be like, no, we can get infinite good stuff with it. Nero's just going to be like, bolt around.
I'm not saying that we have to capture it. We might be able to negotiate a deal with either the Inquisition, or if for example, for some reason the Silver Skulls have one in captivity they've been trying to interrogate and they're just going to massacre it, then I'd be like, hey, Mechanicus, give him to Mechanicus. Mechanicus sells him off to whoever the fuck. They give us a bunch of shit, say, I don't know, a new Land Raider pattern or something.
And we will then
make you mini Land Raiders or whatever, and they might be like, fuck it.
Look, I can't wait for this guy to hand you over a standard construction template for like a Space Marine issue paper clip.
You assume that's
just one large enough for a Space Marine to use to hold their paper together. You're going to be like, oh my god, this is great. This is the greatest invention ever. I can't believe I got one.
I have had a whole Road Trader plotline around an STC for a hairdryer before, so
yeah. I was in a game once. We returned a fragment of an STC, not even a complete one, just a fragment, and the Mechanicus was just like showering us with many things because it's still incredibly valuable. So I mean, we don't know.
Special kind of paperclip, the kind that you bend open and then.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's a paperclip you can bend as many times as you want, and it never breaks from.
So I should probably just explain, because there might be people in the audience who aren't familiar with what an STC is. That effectively during the initial expansion of mankind in the 40K universe, like before the Imperium existed, they had to send ships out into the universe that were generational. So the idea would be that by the time they reached where they were going, they were 3 or 4 generations down the track. So there was no point in putting skilled people like engineers or builders or science, whatever, on those ships, because it'd be the children of their children of their children that actually got there. So they developed something called the Standard Template Constructor, which was basically a piece of technology that you could feed.
It's a big ass 3D printer.
Almost any material into, and it would output then whatever you would need to run a colony. You know, you could then produce combine harvesters, you could produce buildings, you could produce vehicles, whatever.
Weapons.
By dropping in rocks, metal, whatever you could pretty much find. And STC templates are effectively the program you put into the STC machine to tell it what to build. So the machines themselves are extremely rare. The actual constructors themselves, there's probably like less than 10 in the Imperium today. But also the patterns themselves are very hard to come by, and it's usually the patterns of what are widely sought after, because it's pretty much
STL file for a fucking Land Raider.
Exactly, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
But the thing is, too, is what made them also incredibly valuable was that every planet they would colonize has different requirements as far as infrastructure, military force, blah, 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 whatever. So it's rather than just, oh, let's send 100 tanks and I don't know, oh shit, we've only got 5 ladders. It's like you would just build what you needed when you needed it, depending on what you required on your specific, whatever the problems on your planet were. So it was also super valuable.
Instead of trying to plan out the resources you would need, you just have one of these and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
You just bring a bunch of raw material, and then if you landed on Ice World, you need whatever. It's just you could adapt to the local planets, but there's STCs for literally everything. The famous ones are like the Land Raider, or some patterns of like bolt guns and stuff like like, for example, the Land Raider and the Land Speeder were found by a tech priest whose name was Arkin Land, hence the Land Raider, Land Speeder. But, he dove in some old ruins and found some shit. And then Mechanicus was like, hey, here's things, shiny things. So they're extremely valuable and extremely rare. And the Mechanicus has literally been known to give, like, there was a guard regiment that found an STC, and then the Mechanicus just gave them a solar system. Like a whole system that's already been colonized, and Mechanicus just gave it to them. It's like, here you go. It's like, so even if it's a paperclip, they don't give a fuck. It's a really old paperclip. That's what's important. So if you find an intact 100% whole STC, fuck one planet. They'll give you solar systems, whatever. So it's very, very worth it. And this is the shit that Cyrax is out here to find. Like, any tech is good. Finding lost tech in and of itself. You find an STC, you will want for nothing for the rest of your days, is essentially what that comes down to, usually. So
could I ask somebody as well? Let's do this for you, Arthur. Could you please give me a dice roll? It's going to be the crew skill, which is 30, plus the ship's detection of 25. So we need to just do a D100 roll under 55.
We were told.
Oh, so you're saying we need to make a perception check? That's what I'm hearing.
For the crew.
Nope.
For the crew. No. Okay. No.
Does the crew get fate?
Nope.
Okay.
That's fine.
We can't spin our own fate.
Oh, it's definitely not fine, but yeah.
Just to see if they observed something up, which they didn't.
Yeah. Just 10 episodes down the line, he's going to be like, well, all of your servitors work for the Necrons now, and especially the gun servitors, they now also have Necron guns. So.
I don't bank heavy.
If I had servitors with Goth's flares on them, if my servitor starts shooting green lightning, we're gonna have problems.
Just to bring us back into the moment, you're speaking of binary. Nero has no idea that you're trying to sell a space marine to this individual.
Well, it's not off the table. But here's the thing, too: a binaric conversation.
It's not off the table.
A binaric conversation, you could have what would normally be hours worth of conversation. You can have it in binaric in seconds.
Yes,
it's just data transmission back.
You're
and forth.
definitely going.
There's a scene
really
in I think, I don't know if it's Mechanicum or if it's Titanicus, but literally there's all these tech priests assemble in a room, and they have an entire conference in I think it's something like 38. They say it's like 38.6 seconds. And so they all arrive, they sit there. There's one massive data blurt, and then they all file out. It just happens like that, which is just really funny to me.
But presumably after this data packet, then the servitor goes back to its dumb stare because whatever was connected to it has disconnected.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Before it does do that, though, I want to ask the thing because I know I know enough about Nero so far. I'm going to ask it: is there a failsafe for this machine if I were to try to transfer the programming from the servitor to something else?
Wow. And this is how the whole ship becomes a Necron. I've seen this movie before.
I'm sorry.
So there is technology within this servitor which has been added to allow this communication to take place. It's not sure of your ability to be able to relocate that technology in such a way, and the technology was established in such a way that it would destroy the servitor if it were tampered with, only because it didn't want to share that technology.
Yeah, no, that's what
not knowing at the start whether you're amenable.
Yeah, no, I get it.
All right, so at this point, Nero sits forward menacingly and says, "What did you just say to that thing? And what did it say back to you?"
It was asking me what my price would be to facilitate this transaction.
I mean, Nero's going to look at the Lord Captain like, isn't that your job? Like,
Yes. The transaction we talked about?
Something like that. It was asking me if I would.
Let's see. How do I word this? How Cyrax would say? I know how I would say it, but how Cyrax would say it. It takes me a second. Well, no, he didn't say that. I was going to say do it without involving you guys, but
He never asked for secrecy. That's something that's up to you.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think how Cyrax would word it, because I'm trying to, you know, like, in order to tell a convincing lie, you have to know a kernel of the truth, right?
I mean, do you pause for long enough for Nero's intense paranoia to be like, well, everything he's about to say is total bullshit?
Cyrax has a cogitator also built into his head, so like he thinks faster than standard humans do.
You might think faster than standard human, but you don't think faster than heavy bolt around.
Do not think faster than bullets. God, that's like I have Allen wrenches and bullets or cartridges just sitting all over my desk. No, this is me as a player taking a second to be like,
essentially, it was asking it. It knows that you will have a price, Captain, but it was asking if I had a price for facilitating this transaction between the two of you. More or less, I told it I would get back to it.
You may have picked up, it always defers to Cyrax as the authority and treats you as Cyrax's subordinate.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But I mean, the captain knows that he and I, from a legal perspective, have the same authority.
I mean, from a legal perspective, you're a rank 2 crew member, not a rank 1 crew member.
No, but as far as the rogue trader gets his power from the Imperium, I get my power from the Adeptus Mechanicus. Like, but we're technically, as far as like,
I'm looking at an org chart here, and your name is not the one at the top.
That's fine. I'm going off of what the book says when it literally says an Explorator has equal authority to a rogue trader, because I have planetary governor authority should I wish to exercise it. Over a Mechanicus world, mind you. But
Cyrus, get in contact with the other pieces of Mechanicum. If they can get here within 4 months and able to relocate a population of 4 million, we will see.
I probably do not need to remind you, but you have certainly heard the tales of rogue traders returning intact STCs to the Mechanicus and being rewarded with riches beyond their imagination.
Yes.
Trading one planet for the wealth of many. This is a no-brainer, as you standard humans would say.
I want to circle back on something that we didn't discuss. We call them nulls or blanks or whatever you want to say. These warp aberrations.
Pariahs.
Yes. I believe that this is part of what they were looking for based on this discussion.
Yes.
Possibly.
I believe if we remove any of them, this creature will want to... How shall I put this? We are taking on crew members who have been on this planet. And he was very insistent on liquidating them at a molecular level.
Well, he also did.
I believe
there was something in there about us removing our people. Yes.
That was what started this whole conversation to begin with. I think what happens to the people is inconsequential to them. They are going to, for lack of a better term, remove that planet, whether our people are on it or not. They are just extending a courtesy.
Sure, you can believe that, but I believe that they will trace down any of their
They're not
intellectual property and liquidate that as well.
Well, if they're giving us an opportunity to remove our people, those nulls, such as they are, do belong to the Lord Captain.
And need I remind you that the
Lord
Imperium,
Captain's people.
the
Yes, I
Imperium
understand.
liquidates billions every day for the very
Yes.
same reasons.
Gentlemen, I understand all of this. What I'm saying is this creature is saying one thing and also saying a second thing. It is saying that it wishes to liquidate all carbon-based life forms on that planet. Anything that we remove, it may wish to also liquidate, including crew members of this ship.
He was saying that anything that remains on that planet will be liquidated.
I am aware that
Not-
that is what it was saying to you. It's very comforting to know that creatures are incapable of lying.
It sounds
just
to
wants
me
what's
that
underneath
you're reading a few steps too far into the situation. He's given us an opportunity to clear out. Basically, what they're stating is they're going to sterilize the planet of all life, whether it be plants, microbes, whatever, what have you, does not matter. That planet is going to be barren, and they're extending us a courtesy to remove what is ours. I saw nothing in that to indicate that they gave one whit's fuck about the nulls.
Nero's gonna stand up and, grab the heavy bolter, put it on his back, and say, Lord Captain, I have made my opinion here known. Is there anything further you require from me?
No, you may leave if you wish.
All right, Nero's gonna go check with the gun crews, which he hasn't done yet.
Okay. Anything else for this conversation here?
No, I will. Let's see. Oh shit! I had something I wanted to fucking talk to Pierre about, and I've lost it in my train of thought. This is like 20 minutes ago.
The core, the probe, and that sort of stuff, maybe?
Machine
yes,
intelligence.
yes.
The
other
machines,
thing.
the machine spirit. I mean, I don't care if Garth is here or not. He's more than welcome to be privy to this information.
Before we adjourn here, Captain, I was informed by my current second in command that there is a room in the Engineerium that is code locked to the Captain and Engineer Prime.
And I forgot the absolute things that you said, James. If you could refresh
That's
my
where
memory.
the probe that was discovered was stored.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
where-
that was the other thing we wanted to look at too.
Yes.
Cyrax, see if you can get in contact with the Mechanicum, see how much they can send here to help relocate some people. I mainly want to get the nulls off the planet that we can have for later to sell and possibly.
Well, I still think I'll have to get Garth.
Garth,
to
how'd
help
you
with
put
that,
it?
but-
Farm?
Well, if one has a herd of such things, one would choose to maintain it.
Those would be the most important at the moment.
Of course, you have to remember that the conditions that are creating the nulls are most likely indicative of the planet. Most likely, the contents of that research facility, as they put it, remove them from that environment, and I believe that the breeding of additional nulls would most likely drop off dramatically as well.
Well, here's another opportunity for profit. If we do make another trip down to that planet, we need to take as much recording equipment as possible to record all of the data. And I do mean all. The biologists will pay handsomely for such things. If they figure out a way to, for lack of a better term, vat grow the pariahs.
There's also several old archaeotech ships in there. Some of the Space Marine
fighters,
variety, pre-heresy or heresy.
That is interesting.
So they might be interested in that.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
So you didn't get to this part of the show, I think, Atomic. But
Yeah, everything after
let's
this
assume that
and-
some of the footage that was captured when they overflew this ship got to you to examine.
I remember you talk. I did get to the part where you talk about how it's either heresy or
it's a pre-current Imperium style ship, like it's Heresy or earlier ship.
Heresy ship, yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's an Acheron heavy cruiser, but that's just from me reading Battleship Calixis.
Yep, and they did also determine there were Space Marine flyers in the flyer base.
So some lightnings and stuff like that.
Xiphons, to be precise.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, we could definitely need to figure out what.
If we're leaving, then we're definitely going to want to remove any and all material as possible from that ship.
Correct. Who knows if we can identify what chapter that belonged to, if they were loyalist or a successor chapter, they might pay handsomely for their relics and artifacts.
Yes, I believe we're going to have to go down there and check it out ourselves. Whether it's a good idea or not.
We will make it a good idea.
Nothing worth having was ever gained freely, Captain.
Yes.
Except
anything else from either of you?
Negative.
And then I'll give him a quick overview of the what the Septimus told me. Sorry, it's weird saying Septimus because that's the name of one of the main characters in the Night Lord books. Because he's the seventh servant to the main character. I just keep hearing his voice, his audiobook voice in my head. Yeah, I'll tell him that technically the ship is operational, though it is, we're running on a skeleton crew down in the engineering.
Suboptimal.
Yeah, suboptimal.
In the meantime, I take it that we are meaning to relocate these people, yes?
Well, at the very least, get the Nulls to somewhere else.
And we will need the Adeptus Mechanicus to accomplish this, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Well then, Cyrax, I suppose it would behoove us if you were to compose a message and direct me of where it needs to be received, and I can make sure that is taken care of.
Yeah.
So let me remind you, by the way, that the Explorator fleet in the Koronus Expanse is notorious for claim jumping. They turn up and pretty much declare, this is ours, not yours, even though you found it. So just keep that in mind.
Honestly, before we contact the Mechanicus, we need to figure out or attempt to figure out if the essentially the chapter that ran either owned the ship or, even if it was like an auxilia ship, because like Space Marine Legions used to have, like before the Imperial Guard was a thing, Space Marine Legions would keep contingents of like guardsmen as, to do basic bitch work. And every Legion had them. They were just auxilia, just normal dudes. What became the Imperial Guard were those. So it could also be an auxilia ship, but the fact that there were Space Marine fighters there kind of
so we should hold off on sending it. What I'm hearing is we should hold off on sending the message until we determine what is of value there, what chapters were involved, and basically strip any and all pertinent materials that would be a benefit to us.
If the chapter still exists and we can figure out who they are,
reverse that.
We should contact them first and give them first dibs.
First dibs.
However, if it belongs to one of the
traitor
fallen legions, then by all means let the Mechanicus have it. While I would like for nothing more than the technology to be reclaimed by the Mechanicus, I want it to be reclaimed by my Forge World, not some other lesser.
And you can just hear in his, like, he can't really do a whole lot of inflection, but he's saying it with disdain.
Lesser Forge World tries to claim what could belong to Holy Riser.
Now, I'm not here for this conversation, but I want to remind you all that literally in system is a woman whose sole purpose in life is moving objects from one location to another and is looking for work. She's got her thumb out.
She doesn't have her transport with her. That's the issue.
Yes, but she I'm aware that she personally is not capable of currently moving these goods. However, she has indicated to you that she's ready, willing, and good to go.
I know this.
All right, just making sure that your characters are aware of that, because again, Nero is not here. He's sulking.
Yes. Of course.
And just keep in mind that the deal with her was that she wanted to offer you transport, like in exchange for a cut of the profit. Like just taking these people off world is not necessarily profitable. In fact, it will actually devalue the colony. So it's like, yeah, her transportation services were for business purposes. No, she's not,
well,
like
listen, it's a rogue trader. I wasn't saying like she's going to.
It's not like she's got a pickup truck and she said, "Yeah, ask me if you want to move. I'll help you move." You know.
Yes, I assume she'll want some cut of the STC, right? But
well, she'll want some
or the nulls. We could just tell her we're removing them because of the nulls, and then be like, "All right, well, here's 1,000 nulls. Go fuck off."
I mean, I'm sure we can. Anybody who helps in this, I mean, they'll get a piece of something, what they get.
I mean, some people involved in this are definitely going to get a piece of heavy bolter around. I just haven't figured out who yet. There are a lot of people in this room that keep showing up with their hands out, and at least one of them is a heretical Xenos. So, I can't say who's going to die, but somebody will.
What are the other colonies that I have aside from Solitude in this?
Okay, so you also have Outpost 31, I believe it's called. Let me bring up my notes again.
Yes.
Sorry. See if anyone knows what Outpost 31 is on March to. And Hoarfrost as well.
Hoarfrost.
Yeah.
That sounds like a frozen planet. It sounds like a bad place.
So Hoarfrost, Solitude, and Landfall are all in Winterscale's realm. Outpost 31 is in the Foundling Worlds.
Are there other known planets that haven't been colonized yet?
Oh well, so
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are plenty of places that have not been colonized yet. This whole region is still sparsely explored.
I mean, Nero already presented you with a plan to go to the heathen worlds and colonize them in the name of God.
Yes.
You're the Koronus Expanse Map with your.
So if I can relocate
the colony somewhere else and just establish a new colony.
Yeah. That might be the ultimate plan.
In the meantime, it sounds like we have some exploring to do.
Yes, let's do that first. And hopefully not get killed. Or whatever happened to my family.
They were killed. Yeah, they were killed.
They ran out of hit points and fate points. That's exactly
just to be clear, we know that they were killed.
No, they just immediately went insane because they are NPCs.
You're an NPC.
No. Well.
Yeah, I think the audience missed it last show that right after you stopped broadcasting AP that you suddenly thought that maybe that what's special about Nero is his PC status.
Yeah, and you had went out of your way at the beginning of the show to indicate that. So, look, Nero doesn't know that. In character, he assumes that Garth and Pierre will go insane as soon as they step in here, and he might have to kill them.
Just waiting to kill Garth. That's all there is
to
it.
He's normally waiting to mercy kill Garth, but now he's waiting to actually kill Garth. Look, do you want to live your life as a bloated nurgling daemon host? Like, horrible flesh putrefaction. Or do you want to die an honorable death? Like,
just shoot him in the chest. That way I can use his skull for a servitor.
A servo skull?
Yeah,
you'll give it Garth's voice too, and snarky inflections.
This entire time I've been recording sound bites, so it's just like the Darkest Dungeon announcer, but it's just Garth. Cyrax blows something up. Obliterated.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Cyrax. Quiet, Garth's skull.
Okay, so what is the plan? What's the exploration plan?
I don't know.
Go to the ship and explore.
The four of us together get like a
I'm just
some sort of Jeep or whatever.
All right, let me throw this down here, okay? As the security consultant, I think the wisest plan would be to take our large cargo shuttles down, because we still need to pick up people on the planet and bring them back. All of the people that are joining the crew. We'll take one of
We already
ours
did that.
and our. Oh, we already did that.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll take one of ours and we'll fly over there. We'll leave our 10 guardsmen who are armed with las rifles to secure the exit and the pilot area outside of the influence, ready for us to come back up and scream, "Oh my God, they're coming for us! Come, fucking pick us up!" So that they don't get evilly mind controlled, but we also don't die alone. And then we go in. With some recording equipment, I guess.
We're already sending a transport down. I would like to have some more of the people come on board as also as like security team, like maybe 30 or more.
No, it's gonna just be like, "Sir, we don't. They will not be well armed. The ship is surprisingly undergunned."
I just need numbers for whenever we go to Solitude.
What would be the point of having armsmen if we couldn't equip them to begin with? Like, not from Nero's personal armory.
I mostly just want some extra men to be as armsmen for when we go to Solitude.
The twice luck chest only has the throne guilt of Nero the Blade in it. It's now devoid of all firearms. I mean, look, if you want to bring more people, Nero's not going to argue with you, but he's just going to say, like, these people are not well armed or well trained, or I don't trust them. But yes, we can leave a security team outside of what we assume to be the range of this heretical device that will influence them.
I don't need them now. I'm saying for later.
Okay, well, there are hundreds of armsmen on the ship, I assume.
We do not have hundreds of armsmen. We have
we just picked
70.
up more competent crew members. I'm assuming they are going to reinforce the armsmen numbers. You would need to speak with your chief armsmanier, your master at arms, about that, which I am not.
I don't need a roll for this, but I would suggest that Cyrax's logic would also point out that if you're worried about whatever this thing is on the planet that has a malign influence, looking at what's left behind on this ship, the probe itself, might give you some more information.
Yeah, it's true.
On what you're dealing with.
I'll definitely pull a captain aside, be like,
"That thing locked behind that door. We should take a look at it first. If whatever was on the planet was on the ship at one point in time, there might be some residual information that we can pick up."
Yes. If we can get in, because I don't even know if I have the code.
Effectively, it's coded to the Lord Captain or the Engineer Prime, whoever those two people are. Even
so
if
whatever
now that you've taken over the ship, you two have the authority.
So it's like DNA code.
It's in the ship records.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very well. I guess we go investigate that first and then go down to the planet to investigate the ship and possibly go insane.
Right. Just the two of you going to the probe room?
It's my secret captain. It's already crazy. I mean,
Nero is going to his room to talk to his gun.
I don't care if Garth tags along or not. That's inconsequential.
It might be a good idea if there's any warp fuckery involved in the probe.
Or a bad idea, but we'll find out.
You taking the servitor?
Yes.
I picked up a couple of useful.
Someone's just taken my pro room comment and made it take it into a dark place. All right. So you head down there. Yep, the door opens no problem once you input your command. It's basically set up inside like a hot lab. So effectively, you've got like a separate study area, then you've got a chamber where things can be stored that can then be, hit a button and everything gets torched. Just in case sort of thing. In there is what effectively, I'll describe it. It looks like a satellite. It's some sort of self-propelled, unmanned space vessel that is covered in sensors and solar collectors and systems. Definitely human construction. It's been largely disassembled, and you can certainly see where the core component of it has been stripped apart and pieces have been removed, and there are wires attached to it from various consoles and systems. It's been studied over a long period of time. Tommy, you recognize it as definitely Martian construction.
Okay.
Give me a Forbidden Law Adeptus Mechanicus roll at +10.
3.9.
Nice. Okay. So as you know, so before the Emperor sort of united all of Mars, there were different sort of factions on Mars. This sort of bears the markings of one of those pre-unification factions that was subsequently prescribed by the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay. So one of the what are they? Forge enclaves or whatever they call them.
Yeah, that's it. You would with nearly 4 degrees, with 3.9 degrees of success, I'd say that you'd know that they certainly were one of the factions that dabbled in artificial intelligence.
Okay, so definitely. Oh, okay. Whoa. Okay. Well, that's.
So you can, from what you're looking at this device, it looks like some sort of deep space probe. It's some sort of thing designed to send out, collect data. With that being said, it doesn't have any sort of warp-capable travel systems. It's relied entirely upon
like ship deployed,
near light speed sort of thing. So it has like a relativistic drive, but not that can actually achieve full light speed. Doing the math in your head, you don't think it could have gotten here this far out on its own in the sort of 20,000 years since unification.
Yeah. So it was definitely brought here.
Captain, this probe is incredibly old. Pre-Pact of Olympia, or was it Olympus?
Really?
Indeed. I believe it belonged to one of the sub-factions that was then consumed into what was then the Mechanicum and now the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Interesting.
So you pull up some consoles here as well, Cyrax, and sort of go through the data quickly in binaric. So basically, this thing was just found in deep space here in the Koronus Expanse. Initially, the Lord Captain took a very cautious view to this, making sure that it was completely isolated from ship systems, having only the skilled people evaluate it for periods of time, determining that it had effectively been in the Koronus Expanse for about 1,000 years, just tooling about on some sort of automated pilot, just effectively taking sensor readings. They were able to start downloading data from it. Like any time it had encountered anything archaeotech related, they were sort of say, okay, great, we know there's an archaeotech cache here, let's go and raid that. Okay, there's a derelict ship here, let's go and grab that. Effectively they were using the data this thing had collected to find great things in the Koronus Expanse. Over time, in order to sort of break down more and more of its encryption to get better stuff out of it, they were sort of opening it up to more and more of the ship's systems. And although the intelligence on board this thing was relatively simplistic, like it was an actual AI machine core, so self-aware, self-computating, it was only designed really to, with enough intelligence required to process its goals. But that, by opening up to the ship systems, it may have developed it somewhat.
You mean they didn't plug the USB into the same systems that our centrifuges are on?
Yes, but subsequently, when the core was removed, the intelligence can't exist outside of the core. It needs the core to be plugged. You can plug the core into the ship system and give it a lot more intelligence through, all the machine spirit resources available on this ship. But once you unplug it, the ship is unaffected. It remains within the core itself. It can't be removed from that because there's no what do you call it? Neuro systems in the machine spirit systems of the neuronet. That's what I call it. There's no neuronet in the ship. With that being said, some other data you can pull out. So certainly the location of Station 13 has come from this thing, along with another hidden location in the Moor, where there appears to be some form of gateway that's allowed this probe came through about 1,000 years ago that brought it from a completely different area of the Imperium. It was actually tooling about the Ultima Segmentium, and it suddenly found its way here through some sort of stable wormhole or something.
Can I plot those coordinates?
Certainly.
I've got.
They've been plotted here. They've already been plotted.
Oh, they've already done it. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. You've got that data now.
I mean, isn't that extremely valuable on its own?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
I don't understand. We should just fuck off with this thing and just go back and be like, we're rich now. Everybody want to know where the 13th state's to the passage and the fucking wormhole through the maw is? Okay, let's just retire for life and eat partridge for every meal, I guess.
Cyrus, can you surmise this thing
Void
needs
eel?
the core in order to function like it's been doing?
Never eating void eel again.
Never eat. I mean, you essentially ate at the space equivalent of a fucking Shoney's.
For those of you that don't live in the American South, Golden Corral will suffice for that.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like Golden Corral, but worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe the core has to be intact for the abominable intelligence to function, yes.
Great.
So there's no capacity for it to function now, correct?
Correct.
Good.
So we need the thing that's been tainting the ship to be back in the ship for the thing that we could really use to work.
Has
Well, you've got
tainted, is not currently.
The data's been extracted. You've got the sensor data this probe has provided. I mean, they only really downloaded the stuff from the Koronus Expanse because that was where all the cool stuff was. They didn't worry about what it was doing in the Ultima Segmentium. To get more data out of the probe, yes, you would need to put the core back into it again.
And you probably have to interface with the intelligence in some way, which is
Yeah.
there's this little thing called the Min of Iron, and this whole like the reason why AI is completely illegal in the Imperium and nobody fucks with it anymore. Nobody, air quote, except for the people that do.
But effectively, this machine core was able to influence the crew to eventually plug it into the ship's machine spirit, which made it more intelligent. And then subsequently, they've then taken it to the surface to a much bigger ship / Xenos artifact.
Oh, yes.
Great.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. It was like, man, if this thing plugged into a Necron place, that sounds like a terrible thing.
I mean,
Maybe we should leave it for the Necrons to deal with.
you're assuming that, it's like plugging something into a system that it's just not designed to run on, right? Plus, it's a pretty low
It
level
sounds like
intelligence.
it's mostly it plugged into the system that may be linked to also that ship by
We don't know.
proxy or by like electric connection. I don't know. It's Heretic. This feels like it's Heretic, really, but
At the time this thing was created, artificial intelligence was not outlawed in the Imperium.
right. But it is indeed outlawed now. But
Oh yes, this would most definitely get you shot.
thank you for confirming that.
However, what they don't know doesn't hurt you.
This is true.
Well, we should probably see if we can even recover this stupid thing.
I should also make mention that Septimus said that the machine core is in a state of distress, which means that we need to resolve that situation before the navigator interfaces with the machine spirit of the ship.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't that be a job for you, Cyrax?
Possibly, but insufficient information at this time. I don't know exactly what I'm dealing with.
Let's see if we can get the thing first and then figure out what to do with it afterwards.
As good a plan as any.
That sounds like a great place to go to break.
It does.
James, when we get back, I'd like to have Nero talking to his gun before we go on a trip.
Okay.
Who's good?
Might be a bit
boy?
one-sided, just letting you know.
Yes, I am aware that guns don't talk back in this or any universe. We'll be
Not
back
yet.
for the second half soon. Okay,
Well, just not to you.
all right, okay.